Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. Look, I'm not going to be long. I got a lot going on. Still celebrating with baby on her 50th. But I want to take time to talk on something that's out there because I think it's a real teaching opportunity. And I just see a lot of things going on that is so reflective of where we are as a people. Before I get started on it, I want to remind you that we are working on the Black Wealth Project, which is going to be book number 25, a milestone in my writing career, which encompasses books, articles, and a bunch of other things. But I am doing something to celebrate and commemorate the 25th. It's kind of special, and I wanted to really hit home. I think that the project itself is huge, and I am inviting my community, my tribe, to partner with me in this through a sponsorship program to where you can literally sponsor space in the book to commemorate or to memorialize or to celebrate someone you care about, love, someone who has had an impact in your life, whether it be a spouse, a parent, even a child, a coach, a mentor. And there, is no minimum to what you can sponsor. A person who sponsors $1 will still have their name in the book, along with whoever they want to memorialize, whether it's a sentence, 3 or 4 or 5 sentences. Anybody who sponsors $25 or more will get a signed copy of the book. Anybody who sponsors $100 or more will get a dedicated page, meaning that they will have a page to themselves. And anybody who sponsors $500 or more will have a dedicated page and will be able to submit a portrait or a picture, high quality picture of the person that they are memorializing. I just wanted to bring that to your mind. Now, let's get to this Sha'Carri Richardson thing that popped off at the Prefontane Classic. I didn't even get to watch it. Like I said, this weekend was about baby, so I spent all that time, but I have, in glancing and looking around, saw everything that happened and kind of piece things together, and I see a lot of people talking about it. The first thing I want to do is I want to get something out. The first thing you have to do is you have to separate the performance on the track from everything else, and there's a reason for that. If you don't understand track and field, and I don't want to go into deep detail, but if you don't understand track and field, you won't understand this, and it will be easy to apply a lot of these misconceived ideas about why she performed so poorly. Well, because I'm going to deal with it all on both sides. It's so much to touch on, and I don't know if I'll even get to it all. But look, in track and field, when you start training in the beginning of the season, what you're doing, you're training, and you're not running at the same speed all the time. Your level of speed peaks during the season. And what you want to do is not peak too early. You want to peak at the moment when the most important race is being run. And you want to peak then, and then you'll be at your peak for a few weeks or maybe even a month, and then you'll start to come down, and normally that's when the season is coming to an end. Then you cycle out, let your body recover. You go a few weeks just relaxing, and then you start to work back into your season with distance work. That's normally how it goes for sprinters. We're talking specifically sprinters here. So anything from 400 and under, especially 200 and 160. All right. So what happens is your goal is to peak. So you train to build up and get faster and faster as you get closer and closer to the big race. Sha'Carri was doing that. Sha'Carri ran, I think, like a 10.65 leading up to the Olympics, but she was disqualified. And so the performance was, and I said when everybody was talking about, and they were making it real big that she's going to show up and she's going to be a showdown between her and the Jamaican sprinters. I was thinking that's not going to be a showdown. That's going to be a slaughter. And I actually am a fan of Sha'Carri's, but I'm a fan of track and field, and I'm also a fan of the Jamaican sprinters. I don't let the flag determine who I'm cheering for. I'm not one of those people running around influenced by that. I'm an American. I'm going to always be an American because too much of my ancestors' blood was shed here to walk away from it and leave it. But I'm not obligated to dismiss or diminish the excellence of other blacks in other places. I celebrate the melanin. And so I'm a big fan of Shelly Ann Fraser Price. She's been married for a while now. Shelly Ann Fraser Price. But so this isn't about me choosing somebody over somebody. I'm celebrating everybody. The fact that they did the unbelievable, and the fact that Sha'Carri believe Moore ran the second fastest time ever, even though it was wind aided, is unbelievable. It's remarkable. So my thing is, she was supposed to peak. Sha'Carri was supposed to peak at the Olympics. She didn't get to run at the Olympics. And while I'm on this part, I'll say this. While I think it's ridiculous that marijuana is still on the ban list, having known that ban list and seen it and having to have abided by it at a point in time, I can tell you that there are stuff on that list that is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, antihistamines, cough syrups, and a bunch of other things that have nothing to do, in essence, with performance. But nevertheless, the marijuana thing is still on there because supposedly it's a health hazard. And so it is what it is. Do I think she should have been suspended? Absolutely. She knew she should have been suspended. The bottom line is those are the rules. When you decide to play their game, you say you're playing by their rules. Do I think that it's a stupid rule at this point in time and age? Obviously I do. But it's a rule. And I think she knew that because by the time we found out about it, she had already taken that course she had to take in order to have that 90-day suspension reduced to 30 days. So she knew when she did it, she was probably going to get caught. And she just ran for the sake of running to prove what she can do, which, again, was not smart for a number of different reasons. She could have easily just pulled out because of family emergency. She had just lost her mom or whatever. Or she could have ran once. Once you did that, that was a bunch of things that could have been managed better. But as far as her running at the Prefontane Classic, her coach let her down. And her coach should have known better. He's a former world-class sprinter himself. He should have known better. Too much going on. Those girls are coming off an unbelievable high. Confidence is high. They sprinted well. Sha'Carri is coming back from not having competed in over a month and now having to face them. And you don't know what times you're going to put down because you haven't really been pushed to the length you're going to be pushed to. And so many things can happen. So the performance was, I didn't expect her to get last, but I did not expect her to beat the Jamaicans. Not with that much time off and not, knowing how she would have performed on that grand stage. And my thing is, did she handle the initial interview right? No, she was in her emotions. There have been a lot of people who have weighed in and talked about it's because she was cocky. And let me tell you something. Being a sprinter, that comes with the territory. I can remember 2000, both Michael Johnson and Maurice Green going at each other about who was going to win that the 200 meter finals at the Olympic trials, and both of them being so intense and talking so much trash that both of them pulled up in the finals. Neither one of them made the team in the 200 because that's how intense it gets. And you don't know what's said on the track. You don't know what's said on the warm-up track, on the warm-up field. You don't know what coaches are gassing athletes and telling them someone said about them to get them hype and make them train harder, make them more prepared, make them more focused, whatever it takes to get them hype. The idea that athletes have to be great, and the whole thing is the Jamaican athletes were gracious in their victories and their dominance. Not really. You have to know this thing and how the game is played. If you go back and watch the initial interview, because I did, you'll find out that Shelly Ann Fraser Price and a couple of more walked by while she purposely walked, can't say photobombed because it was a video. They video bombed her during her interview. And that was a way of being petty because it had been built up and she was supposed to show up. And when you're supposed to show up and you don't show up, you get embarrassed. So what they did was petty. It definitely wasn't gracious, but I don't have a problem with it. That's a part of when you don't show up And you get spanked, you got to take the spanking. But the whole idea that everybody's throwing her to the wolves because she didn't show up, you have to know why she didn't show up. She shouldn't have been in that race. Bottom line, she shouldn't have been in that race. I'm pretty sure it was some nice money for her, but she shouldn't have been in that race because she had probably peaked. Then even though she was training, that were 4 weeks with no competitive races. If you don't understand track and field, you're not going to understand what I'm saying. But just trust me, this was the worst case scenario for her to run, is to be off that long and to come back from athletes that have just come off the biggest stage in the world and killed it. These aren't just average, and there's no such thing as average world-class sprinters. If they're on that stage and you see them sprinting, they got something. But when you're talking about the elite, the best of the best, the people who you're showing up to beat, you can't come with a half a game. And if you're trying to set your brand and you're trying to establish your brand, and that's what you're doing, it's going to be not a good look. Could she have damaged her brand? Because I hear a lot of people talking about that. Could she have damaged her brand? At 21, whatever damage she's done to it, she has a chance to overcome it. But to me, what I'm going to be judging her by, and I'm pulling for her for a lot of reasons. Number one is I don't live my life vicariously through her. I've lived my life athletically. I've lived my life business-wise. I've lived my life as a person. I've lived my life. So when I pull for somebody, their failure doesn't condemn me or convict me. I don't walk around like most of us, and I get it. Most of us have grown up in a situation where whatever one black person does, we feel like it reflects on us. No, that's her life. She's got to live it. The only difference is she's living it in the spotlight because of what she does. That doesn't exempt her from being 21 years old. That doesn't exempt her from having a chip on her shoulder because of how many people told her what she wasn't going to. If she would have listened to what people told her she wouldn't do, we wouldn't even be having this conversation about her because she'd have dropped off a long time ago. That shows she has heart. And that also explains the chip on her shoulder. I hope that with Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce, this is probably the last rodeo as far as the Olympics, but you never know. She ran pretty well to get that silver medal at 35, 36, something like that. You never know. Justin Gatlin almost made the team and just tanked out. That's another thing. He had been running 9.90, 9.93, even a 9.8 something, gets to the finals in the Olympics and runs 11 something. I mean, stuff that high school boys blow out the water. And you never know what it was. He showed up in the Prefontane. I think he got fifth, but he ran a 9.93, showing that he still has world-class speed at 40, and, you know, that he can be competitive maybe for another year or two. But the thing with this whole thing, with everybody talking about she needs to be more humble and have more humility. The base word of humility is humiliation. And I think we use it wrong. We use it out of context. A lot of times it's been pushed on us religiously. It's been pushed on us because we've been forced to be in a situation where we're supposed to be meek. And that it leaves us in a situation where we're always docile. You cannot be meek and rise to the top. Now, you can be quiet and soft-spoken, but there's got to be something in you that especially when you're standing up and you're going against someone one-on-one, and you're going to either win or you're going to lose based off of what you do on that track. And I can't explain it to the depth that I want to in the time that I have, but at the end of the day, what you have to understand is I don't have a problem with the cockiness. I think that she needs to have a better PR person. She needs to be managed. She needs to be groomed on how to give interviews gracefully. What that first interview was horrible. But as far as saying I'm coming back and I'm not, don't count, to all those that are thinking about, I'm done, count me out, go ahead and count me out, whatever. However she said it, I get that. You got a chip on your shoulder. People been counting you out from day one. I got it. And plus, that's your motivation. That's what you're going to do, fight back. You're either going to be embarrassed and quit, or you're going to be motivated by it and fight back. She did come back in a second interview and congratulate the winners and said, she's going to be better. She's going to be better. This is going to make her better. And if she has the right training, the right coach, and she needs a sports therapist. She needs a sports psychologist. All the good people have them, whether you know about it or not. You need one, because that type of pressure, being able to manage that, being able to prepare the way you have to prepare every day, with everything in life still happening like it happens for everybody else, it takes a lot. My thing is, I'm sad to see so many people turn on her because she's doing what she's doing. She's a 21-year-old, not making mistakes for her. She was out of line. A bunch of stuff happened. But to think that, okay, the Jamaicans were graceful, no. They've been throwing jabs too. You just haven't seen them, because America is hyping her up. And a lot of people are sitting up and saying, you know, that's just American arrogance. A lot of it is. We are so used to automatically being in that spot that when the Jamaicans rose to prominence through Usain Bolt, and we saw their program, I knew for years to come they were going to be a threat, because now they have a program. They have an established working program that works, and they are literally building and creating killers that are coming up. And I see some great talent coming up on the U.S. side, but Degrassi is showing that Canada is back in the picture. They haven't been back there since Donovan Bailey. But my whole thing is, I love the black excellence. I'm not pitting Sha'Carri against the Jamaicans. I'm saying let the best person win. I think that she needs some time to grow. You know, I think that she needs to be around somebody who can mentor her how to be confident and even cocky. Because I remember, I don't think anybody was more boisterous than Muhammad Ali. And then when Layla came along, she was the same way. Matter of fact, I remember her saying that her, you know, despite what people think, her and her dad weren't that close. He was closer to Hannah than her because they were so much alike. But that is the edge you need. And it's also a psychological play. I remember hearing about Michael Jordan coming up with stuff people didn't even say, and saying they said it so he can have that edge to go out and do something. You know, that's just a way of motivating himself. You got to understand, these people are competing at a level that most people haven't seen, and most people are demanding them to behave in a way that fits their liking. My thing is, you know, the Roy Joneses, the Floyd Mayweathers, no matter what, there's a level of cockiness to that. And yeah, when it's your time to fall, you fall. That's a part of the game. Nobody's on top forever. But when you're on top, you defend it with everything you have. You fight. She's trying to scratch to get to that top. She's trying to be that person everybody says she couldn't be. Whether she'll get there or not is going to be up to her. And I'm not going to judge her one way or another. I'm going to say, hey, I think that was a major slip. The performance on the track doesn't matter to me, because that's what I expected. I expected her to lose. I didn't expect her to lose that badly, but I expected her to lose for a number of different reasons. I thought it was a bad idea to put her on a track. I thought she should have worked her way back in and maybe had a finale race at the end of the season. But that Prefontane is a real big follow-up to major track events like World Championships and the Olympics. And so it was her chance to get back on the major stage quickly. And I don't think it was a good idea. I think a coach failed her, a manager, whoever else helps her make those decisions. But that's my take on it. I'm disappointed that we can become so visceral and turn on the very person we were uplifting and holding up a couple of months ago because they make a move that we don't agree with. They're fighting in their own way for what they believe in and for what they want, and they're doing it their way. I don't agree with it. And if it continues, then I'll say, okay, it's an issue. She doesn't grow, and there have been some great talents that never were able to make it because they couldn't grow. They couldn't mature. We're not going to put that on her back. At least I'm not. I'm not going to put that on her back yet. I'm going to say that was immature. That wasn't good look. But I still am supporting her and pulling for her and hoping she has a very successful career. And I'm excited for these Jamaican sprinters. And the young one, Brittany, God, I think she's 18. She was the youngest one at the Olympics. She was the scratch person for their relay team. I think she's going to be real special. And so there's going to be a lot of talent for years to come. And so for those of us who really appreciate the sport, We see it for what it is, and we see the big picture. That's it, and I'm out.